see myself. All right, everything's good. All right. Welcome to the very first podcast brought to you by Survive First called Survived. We are here with a whole entourage tonight. We got my lovely assistant.
Your assistant?
Your lovely wife. Jump right in on that. I'll cover down. I'll be your battle buddy.
Got my little side girl over here. And my wife, Karen, my longtime friend and partner and SWAT brother, Chris Hattaway.
Welcome.
And tonight we are brought to you, our proud sponsor of our show. We are truly grateful for the Dirty Ore Brewery. I just said brewery. Beer company.
Beer company.
We just had that discussion. They're going to talk to you here in just a second, but we thank everybody for coming. We're grateful to have you here. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris real quick. He's going to tell you about our beer of the night. And here you go, Chris from the Dirty Ore. We're also here with Paul and Ozzy. So here we go.
How's everybody doing? Being we're a sponsor, we wanted to highlight some beer tonight. So we have 3 that we're going to get into in small samples. But the first one I wanted to do, this is called our Smurfberry Milkshake. It's a sour ale. It's a blue raspberry sour ale with the addition of lactose and vanilla. And it's just really nice and bright for summer. And the cool thing about it, as anybody that's is watching will see, it does pour very blue.
It's like a bunch of little Smurfs.
That's
blue,
awesome.
That's blue juice.
Blue juice.
Blue juice.
I don't want the blue juice.
All right. One more. Thank you.
And this is meant to be a little sweet, little tart. The nose is very blue raspberry candy, kind of like a Jolly Rancher. You know, kind of takes you back to that childhood memory of sticky sweet treats.
Awesome.
And it has just enough sourness to balance it out, so it's not so sweet.
All right. Let's try it up. Cheers. Oh.
Hold up. We got to wait for
one more.
Jesse and
Producer
Paul and
Jesse.
Ozzy. They can just drink it out of the can. So listen, guys, Dirty Ore, they're my favorite, man. These guys support all the first responders. If you don't know where they're at, they're located in Cocoa Village, right on Florida Avenue and the next
King Street, 329 King Street.
You think I'd know that, right?
They're surrounded by a bunch of little places, but you can actually see them right off the main street of King Street, 520 heading east into Merritt Island, right at the top of the hill, right there, Forest and King Street. So stop by, tell them that the Survive First crew sent you, and I was just there when they poured the very last Survive First beer, so that was a great opportunity there.
Yeah, and that beer sold out so quickly. Everybody really responded well to that. We were so happy to do a collab with y'all.
Everybody's hero, man. What a great thing. So support your local brewery. They support us above and beyond. We're grateful to have them as a sponsor. And it's more than that. We become good friends. They do a lot for all the first responders in town. So once again, support your local brewery.
Just so that everybody knows, the Dirty Ore did host an amazing fundraiser for us. Some of you guys may have actually been there, but they made their own beer called Everyone's Hero. That's one we were just talking about. And that night, you raised, I think, $2,500 for us?
That's correct.
Yes. So they are huge supporters of all first responders and Survive First. So we thank them for everything. Cheers.
Guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse, you don't have to join in. Producer Jesse, he just don't even care
tasty.
about us, man.
I like that.
It's like
That's
little
very
Smurf
good. Yes. That's very good.
Awesome.
What's the other 2 beers you brought with you?
Okay, the next 2, one is one of our newer IPAs. It's called Smush Mush. It is Ella and El Dorado hops. It's got a really peachy vibe to it, very well balanced, kind of in the same vein as the Everyone's Hero. And then we have our Hobo Carnival Mango Milkshake Double IPA, which is one of our staples. It's a very good seller for us. It's a big beer, but
really good.
It tastes so smooth. So we'll get into those whenever y'all are ready.
Perfect.
And it's gonna be a doozy.
Hobo Carnival. If you haven't been there, you got to go in. Not only do they have amazing beers that are made right there in Cocoa, but there's a matching. What do they call the wooden?
Oh, the tap handles.
The tap handles that are made by a local person, and they are all carved out right there. It just really incredible, great atmosphere, easy to get to. It's a great place, open, vibrant, lots of life in there. And you know, if you haven't been there, please stop by, say hi.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you're a first responder, let them know. Show them the support. Anyway, so let's get down to it. So basically, for our opening thing, I wanted to let everybody know. I say the rules, but not so much. This podcast was set up to help first responders answer questions of their own, a way and an avenue for people to receive some sort of help and or reach out to other ones and to have a good time. And it's, you know, a lot of the stuff I do obviously is about preventing suicide and awareness, PTSD awareness, addiction, all the type of things that we deal with as first responders. But I don't want it to be all doom and gloom. I want to, you know, we need to laugh. We need to have a good time, and that's part of what we brought to you. The only rules that I really have at this point is this podcast was not set up as we like to call it, a bitch session. We don't want people coming in here and bashing police departments. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to sit there and point fingers at certain, you know, officers or administration or fire departments or police departments. That's just not cool. That's not what we're here for. So, you know, it is an interactive podcast. So, you know, you can key in. I forgot my phone. So if anybody, especially you, Doug Levine, I know you're trying to send me scary clown pictures, but I don't have my phone tonight. But you can key in on Facebook, right? And you can send messages, and I'll read them as I look up. Hey, boys, Alan, Brian, thank you for tuning in. Vinny Marino, he's our sister podcast show. He does a lot of stuff for the first responders. Tune in to him as well.
He'd probably like you to say brother podcast.
Did I say your sister?
You said sister.
He's kind of cute. He's a cute sister. I like him. So anyway, that's it. That's really the only thing. We're always looking for topics. Chris came up with a good topic tonight that we're going to run with here in a few minutes. We're always up for anything, because this is, I say our show as first responders. This is our show, so any topic or anything you want to talk about, just chime in and let us know. That's basically it. I got a couple quick shout outs. Next week, I'll be leaving for Denver, Colorado, where I'll be doing the Walk for Responders again. I left off in Arizona the last time I was on Vinny's show. I finished up in Arizona and took a little break to take care of some other responsibilities we have with Survive First. But we're starting back up. I'll be meeting up with some of my teammates. I got my friends, Vicky and Thayer and Chris. They're in Virginia doing some work, so we're going to meet up Sunday in Denver and get the walk going again. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Denver. Looks like it's going to be a good time. And that's that for the walk. So I'll be gone for about 8 days, 8 days, and then we'll take a quick week break and then be back again. Do you know what day we're back, babe?
Well, I'm staying here. So
I'm talking about on the next show. Do you know when the next
show? Not next Monday, but the Monday after.
Whatever date that is.
I can check that.
All right. So
the namesake survived. I mean, that's past, present, and future tense. And so today we were actually, Doug and I were at lunch, and, you know, as he's talking about laying out ground rules, really, you know, Doug's hashtag is live happy. You know, and where a lot of times we can get stuck in that, what have I been through, where have I been, and what does that look like now? But, you know, the overall message is that there's a happiness at the end of the tunnel. You know, there's a happiness once you get out of that. And we're here to walk that through with you and help you to find that happiness. And we hope that, you know, wherever you're at right now, whether you're listening, you know, live or, you know, a couple days down the road, that you know that we want you to be happy and talk it out with us. There's a lot of people that care about you. I mean, it's apparent by all of the support and everybody else that comes out. You know, the majority of the people that we come across throughout the United States in our travels, you know, always have a kind word to say. It's the very few that want to, you know, suppress what we're doing, you know. So just to, you know, highlight that. And So in our conversation at lunch today, Doug said something pretty profound, and he said, I want to talk about what happens after the radio goes off. So what does that look like for us, Doug?
I wasn't paying attention. I was reading.
That's typical.
I'm reading Brian's
We love our
comment.
Facebook family too.
So
Absolutely.
I guess there's a few issues. Somebody's having a hard time hearing me. Maybe if I put this big blue Smurf looking thing in my mouth here, it freaking freaks me out every time I come to the show. At least it's blue. The last one was red, and the red one just flipped me out, man. Anyway, so
we talked about
Chris,
what happens after that radio goes off.
Yeah, the radio. So for those of you who are not law enforcement or a firefighter, we call it a tone. So on our radios, we have these little red buttons. I say I'm retired this case, but I'm going to talk like I'm still a cop. We have these little red buttons, and you push that button, it's like a panic alert. It's like a panic button, and it opens up the radio. It sends an alert through dispatch. Am I right, Chris? Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
dispatch
absolutely.
sends alert.
Right.
It's been a while since I've been there.
Right. I mean, the dispatchers, they get that emergency call, and they push there's like 50 buttons up in dispatch, and they play like musical notes all over the radio, and that gets our attention.
And then the tone. So that's what we know it as, the tone. And anyway, so when that tone goes off in the department, it doesn't matter who you are or what you are, you're running out the door. I mean, we would be up in our office. We were upstairs in the detective bureau and the drug units, and everybody would take off running. Didn't matter who you are, who the officer was, whether whether you liked him or you didn't, or him or her. You went running. Every department's the same thing. I have these conversations with every department. Everybody goes running to go help that officer. The problem with that is we're quick. When some officer's getting his butt whooped on the side of the road or whatever it is, everybody goes running to his rescue. You've seen it 100 times when 30 cop cars pull up to a tragic thing. But the biggest problem we have is when that tone goes off for an officer at home, nobody does anything. And that's a problem that we have to fix. One of the biggest things, and we're kind of starting off this note a little odd, one of the biggest problems that law enforcement has is themselves. We are quick to...
Just ask our wives, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. Quick to judge each other, quick to point fingers, quick to talk behind officers, and all these little things impact somebody's well-being. It happened to me at times. My guys would make fun of me. Short story. So I had, I'm an Ironman triathlete. That's my thing. Obviously, I'm even wearing my shirt tonight. And that's what they used to call me years ago. And then when I broke my back, I couldn't walk right. I was always bent over, funny, and I would get hurt all the time. And they would make fun of me, and it was funny, but they would call me the Tin Man. But deep down inside, it was really impacting me because it impacted my personal life. I got hurt at work, and it impacted my personal life, and it was really eating at me. It wasn't the guys making fun of me. It was just the fact of what was... Are you going to laugh at me because I'm telling
sorry.
my sad story?
Doug Levine is making fun of you right now.
He can kiss
You're
my
clumsy.
butt.
He said you're clumsy. Yeah.
I love that dude. I love him, man.
And he loves something else. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it's a whole nother episode. But so anyway, it impacted me dearly, and nobody knew it at the time. But those are some of the things that we gotta be careful about inside our departments. And I always tell guys, if we don't take care of each other, who's gonna? And we need to really focus on home. A lot of these first responder treatment centers or just organizations throughout the nation, they always want to use this term, stop the stigma, end the stigma. Well, that to me is a bunch of bull crap. It's not the stigma that's concerning at this point in this particular topic, is that we need to start taking better care of ourselves, better care within our agencies, and focus in-house first. That's kind of my little rant on that topic.
Well, I think that you were strong enough to handle the joke, and unfortunately, when we're, and I say boys, and I use that loosely because that's been the group that we've been in, but when the men and women that work together closely in law enforcement are in first responders generally, we work so close together, and we get to joke and we get to have a lot of fun, but we always forget to follow up, like, hey, brother, I really, that I was just joking. I really do care about you. And growing up in the United States, only in the United States, and I didn't travel as a kid throughout different countries, but, so I know, like, here, as guys, we weren't raised up to say, hey, I care about you. I love you. I appreciate what you do. I want to do this with you. And I couldn't imagine losing you. We never take that time to be considerate of someone else's feelings. And I'm not raised in the era that everybody should have feelings. Like in the military, I wasn't issued feelings. The drill sergeants pushed us through and our sergeants pushed us through and we did what we had to do. But at the end of the day, when we come back to the barracks, when we live together, when we soldier on together past whatever the incident is in law enforcement, whatever that crucial call was, you got to follow up. You got to feel, you got to attach that emotion and say, hey, I do care about you. How are you doing? Because, for me, I'm pretty ate up with that. That like broke my heart. I'm really, I can't stand to see that baby die or whatever that call looked like, so. I don't think there's malicious intent behind, being the jokester. And that's, don't misconstrue what Doug was saying, but the follow through of, I care about you after that. I care about, and just because you don't know how to say it doesn't mean you shouldn't say it. And a lot of times just saying those words, I care, goes a really, really long way. In my time in the military, when I was deployed, one of the things they wanted to push out was ACE, ask, care, and escort. And the premise of suicide awareness and expelling suicide throughout the military branches was, we're going to cram this down your throat and you're going to eat it. And it didn't work because the numbers continue to grow and nobody knew how to communicate and we say common sense, but it's not even that, just care and compassion. Just say I care, and that could have helped, and thank God that it didn't, because maybe we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this. I mean, everybody has a story and an opportunity to pass along what they've learned. So there's a lot of value to all of this.
Well, I think one of the big problems is that it kind of goes along with what you were saying, Chris, checking on your brothers and sisters, actually asking, hey, are you okay? And that's right. Something that we don't do, even outside of the first responder community. It's something we don't do enough, is ask the people we care about, hey, are you okay? You don't
ever ask me.
I ask you that all the
No,
time.
you don't ever ask me. She gonna talk all this on this radio show, but she don't ever ask me how I'm doing. Just want to put that out there on live TV.
No, I've seen it. She says, Doug, I can tell you can't walk right now. You're hurt. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, it's time to go. It's too late now.
Yes, you're right, Dave. You're absolutely right.
And I think just, like I said, even outside of the first responder community, we don't do that enough with the people that we really care about. And so when we're talking about first responders and everything that you guys go through every single day, it's important to ask, hey, are you okay? It's not just that shake it off mentality, we're going to be okay. You need to ask and check on your brothers and sisters.
I can tell you from experience that just that little phrase, that little question opens up a whole opportunity of emotion, and doing it at the right time. I mean, I've seen grown men given that opportunity to express themselves really say, no, I'm not okay. And I need to get away from this moment right now and deal with this so I can move on for the rest of today. And not that would lead towards suicide, but the overwhelming stress of having to eat what they're being fed at that call, just they need to get away. And that's not an opportunity for, a high stress situation, a critical incident, to be able to get away.
Well, and Conrad just made a comment. Thank you, Conrad, because it's so important. He said, we also need... I'm sorry. Oh, were you? Okay, go ahead.
This is what goes on at home all the time, man. You know what I mean?
You look like you weren't paying attention.
No, I'm paying attention now. I was reading the comments, but before we came here, we had a little pre-meeting, and I reminded her, I'm Howard Stern, you're Robin. So you just sit there and laugh because she
the brains of the operation.
She's Latin. She likes to control things and take over. You know what I mean? Don't you got homework to grade tonight or something?
Not yet.
So, no. So since you stole it, go ahead and talk about Conrad.
Okay.
Do you even know who Conrad is?
I think we've met. He's got a big beard, right?
That's Conrad.
a big beard. Hey, Conrad. It is very important that we remember we have to check on those who have retired as well, because the statistics are staggering for mental health problems and suicide among retired first responders, and many times we forget. So thank you very much for bringing that up, because that is a whole nother area that we really need to focus on. And just because Doug's retired now doesn't mean that his boys, his girls from the PD don't check on him. It's important that they check on him and that they keep that connection, because I think when you retire as a cop or a firefighter, it's very easy to begin to lose that identity, lose that connection.
It's a big part. Yeah, it's an issue. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is true. We do forget about it's that business. You're out of sight, out of mind. And the guys that are working cops, they're working. And I talk about that sometimes. When I'm speaking, I make that comment. Like when I broke my back, I was at home by myself for like a year, maybe longer, and none of the guys came around. And I don't hold that against them, because life's difficult. They got kids, so you lose that little connect. So when you're retired, you're gone. You're not there every day. You're kind of doing your own personal thing. Like for me, I'm never home anymore, so the guys have a hard time. They give me grief, because I'll throw a little smart act comment like, "Oh man, thanks for inviting me," and they're like, "Well, where are you at this month?" So that just happens. But these are there are programs. For example, we were in Arizona. Vicky, if you're listening, was it Arizona we were at with the fire trucks? Was it Arizona? Mm-hmm. I think it was Phoenix. What they did was they bought these old fire trucks, and they brought them to the fire department, and then the retired guys would come there on their days off and remodel them and refurbish them. And, and they were beautiful. They were works of art, and they had them inside the department, like on showcase. And I said, man, what an incredible thing to do. Now, granted, probably cops are, they're not going to want to go shine a cop car after driving in one for 20 years, but I'm sure there's something to that work, Let me just catch up a little bit on comments, a couple little shout outs. So, Eric Brenneman, and I know your lovely soon to be bride probably is on here, Olivia. They're yoga for first responders. They're out of the Midwest, and thanks for tuning in. And maybe we can get you guys on there some comments so people can see their program. Their yoga for first responders, pretty cool thing out there. We got quite a few people that are sending me things here. I just can't keep up with all of you. And of course, Doug's making fun of my ear, but he can't see my big ear because I got it in headphones tonight. So. Tucson, Thayer said Tucson's where we're at with the fire department. So anyway, there's building blocks that we can all do as a whole, to ensure that, that our guys are taken care of, whether they're working or they're not working. I mean, there's a multitude of things that we can do. I mean, for me, I needed to let it go. Like I needed to leave. That's what I needed for a while. I have no desire to go back and ride along. I have no desire to do any of that. I desire to be around the guys and girls. I miss them. I don't miss the politics. I don't miss all the other type of stuff. But like today, I went to lunch with Chris and a bunch of the crew from the Detective Bureau, and it was great.
You said some really refreshing stuff there too. Like you talked about working at the agency, and you said I don't have any ill feelings towards anybody. I still, look towards their friendships and everything else. And I think that's a positive message to pass along too, that work isn't personal. And maybe for people that aren't familiar with first responders, but nothing that we do is personal. And then the things that we go through as being employed together, that's not personal either. I care about you, and you really hit home on that. Some of the relationships and the way that you felt from when you did come back, and what those people said to you, and you were like, no, that's not how I feel. I'm broken. I'm trying to get fixed.
Yeah. No, the impact, and I say this a lot, a random act of kindness. It's amazing what a random act of kindness can do. It saved my life probably in my era when I was, every day was a day that I wanted to shoot myself. And I always had a plan. And just random acts of kindness. Guys that I didn't even know, like I'll, for example, one night I was doing some paperwork. I was running the day shift. And the next guy, a guy I used to work with named Ken. And we were friends for many years. We didn't hang out. We didn't socialize outside of work. We were very friendly. And just randomly, he looks over at me and he goes, hey, man, you smoke cigars? And I was, oh, hell yeah, I smoke cigars, right? And he goes, hey, I got a couple as a gift. You want to smoke them? And so I did. And just that, because it was shocking, you know what I mean? It kept me alive for one more day. So many things like that. Even toward when I had my official, day, I remember getting called in the chief's office, and it wasn't a pretty picture for anybody. I was not anybody that you wanted to be around. I was very violent. It was very negative and nasty. I mean, I really wanted to fight anybody in my existence. And I remember walking into my chief's, and I went kicking and screaming. I mean, my chief at the time, he was a dear friend of mine, was only doing what he could do to help me. And like I was cussing this dude upside down, giving him every name. And he just looked at me and was like, man, I don't want you to go away. I love you, man. You're one of our boys. And I looked around the room, and some of the guys I was working with, who were some hardcore guys, right. A couple of lieutenants who nobody really wanted to mess with, you grow, they're just hardcore. And just the looks, and a couple of them had tears in their eyes. And just that let me know, like, okay, man, it's okay. Like, I can, right. Somebody cares, because right. When you're depressed, you manifest everything. So you can stub your toe and it's the end of the world when you're depressed. And so me being, depressed every day, all day long, and it doesn't matter how it looks, like people show pictures of Robin Williams all the time, smiling and laughing. They go, this is what it looks like. No, the hell it don't look like that.
Right.
But it's not the look on your face. It's an internal thing. And at the time that I was going through this, all my friends had no idea, because I lived a pretty damn good life, man. I had freaking Porsches. I had a big house on the water, man.
Everything looked good.
I had all the toys, so everything looked good, except the world didn't look good through my eyes. And it was, some stuff that I couldn't control anymore. But getting back to it, that random act of kindness saved my life. And we don't do that enough in the department. And really, when you work and you deal with doom and gloom, because listen, it's no big secret. Nobody's inviting the cops over for freaking cupcakes. It just don't happen. And, we're not firefighters. Nobody's putting us on a catalog or a calendar and showing
you
our
don't
chest
want to see
out.
you don't want to see my donut.
Well, I worked hard for my six-pack, and I wanted to show it off, and right. I never got the damn chance.
Six-pack of 2 liters right here.
Now I don't have any of that. Now I got
that dad bod. It's
got a beer keg on me
these days.
Yeah, Doug, we do. We need more parties, barbecues, and unity and fellowship, as some call it. But that's another problem, because I remember when I got into law enforcement, it was nobody hung out, because it was, I don't want to get in an IA if you do something stupid this weekend. I don't want to be part of it. So okay, well, you can't sit in your house and freaking be scared of always. I mean, I got no room to talk. I think I had like 600 internal affairs when I retired. But, we do need to unify. Our departments need to come into some sort of programs, and they're out there. There's several things that we can do that we just don't because we get complacent. Well, run with that, Chris.
Absolutely, because I'm on the edge of jumping in here. For me, like one of my roles is I'm a planner, and I bring people together, and I do outreach and all that good feely good stuff. But someone has to lead that. If you're one that's saying, hey, we don't have this, what does it take to step up and say, hey, we're communicating today on Facebook, like tomorrow let's have lunch. And let's call one of our friends that's retired or that I haven't heard from in a while and say, let's get together this weekend. And no, I'm too busy this weekend. No, you're coming over this weekend and we're going to get together. Like we always have a solution or a issue of, we can't do this, why we can't do it, why it doesn't come together, why it doesn't work. But, be the leader. When you identify these problems that we have, step out, put yourself on the edge. That's what, Doug has gotten a lot of visibility over the last, year and a half. And it's because he stepped out of his comfort zone. Step out on a limb. Be uncomfortable in what you do. Being a cop wasn't easy for you. If you're retired or if you're getting close to retirement and you don't have a plan set forth, for me, it's like, plan that out. Find a way to get people together. All you have to do, if it's on your mind, it's on one of your friends' mind. Yeah, you could very well, right at this moment, look someone up in your contacts. Come on, don't tell me you don't have people in your contacts that you haven't spoken to in several years, people that you worked closely beside, and you just got to reach out and say, hey, how are you doing? Like, I'm thinking about you, you're on my mind. And that encompasses so much right there, because that's what it takes to have that intimate relationship, to talk your buddy off the ledge. And you knew that because you were already there when you were policing. You were out there doing it to the general public, but we couldn't even do it for ourselves. So step out on that ledge, call someone, say, I care about you, you matter. I want to live happy beside you, with you. I'm not asking for a marriage. I'm not saying that. Just be the best friend that you can be. And start something new. You don't need a VFW to go to. Start something new in your neighborhood, wherever that is, and just bring your friends back together. Let's quit building houses where the garages are in the front, put them back in the back of the house, and put the kids out in the front yard. Put your families in the front yard, in the neighborhoods, fill the streets back up with goodness, and let's get back to taking care of each other. I think we've kind of missed that. And that's why this national conversation is now happening, because no one wants to speak up and talk about the hard stuff. There's agencies willing to cram it down your throat and make you eat it, and no one buys that. You got to be wholesome and you got to feel it, but all you have to do is say it. I do mean it. I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't believe that, and if I weren't willing to step out on the ledge, because I'm not only willing to do it in my work life, but I'm willing to do it in my personal life, and I'm willing to contact my friends and say, hey, I was thinking about you the other day. I hope you're well. I might not get to see you for a year, 2 years, 10 years, whatever that looks like, but that doesn't mean, the military taught me that you're going to meet a lot of great people in your time. You're going to travel, and you're going to build those relationships, and they're going to be great relationships, but you might not get to see each other for a very long time. But with technology these days, there's no reason that we can't reach out and just say, hey, how are you doing? I'm thinking about you today. Just say it. Reach out to someone in your contact list today that you haven't spoken to in a long time, and say, I've been lazy, and relationships are two-way. Today I'm going to step out on that ledge and say, I care about you, and I hope you're well. And wherever you're at in the world, whatever's on your mind, let's just talk about it.
One of the things I used to do, Chris, when I came back from treatment, I call it the cuckoo house, but when I came back, I needed to change everything I did on a daily basis. So one of the things I started doing on my way home from work to decompress was I would pick 5 guys every week. And I say a week, in a work week, I worked 4 10s usually. And I would call them on the way home. And I would call to check on them, but really what I was doing was helping myself. And that's one thing that we can do is when you go to work or you start your week, make you a little list of, run through your phone contacts, and don't go on Facebook and brag about what you're doing. That was a conversation we had at lunch today, how notorious Facebook, it's depressing because nobody goes on there and goes, hey, man, I can't pay my power bill this month. They go on there and go, look who I am, look where I'm at, look who I'm with, look what I'm doing. And it's really just a big show off. And I'm guilty of it too, But it's depressing. Like, I just told Karen, I got to get off this because I look at it now and it's either somebody doing something that I can't do that kind of bums me out, and or it's some political bull crap. You know what I mean? Because God forbid anybody gets along in this country anymore. So really, it's depressing. So instead of doing that crap, because everybody gets on their phone like 8 hours a day now. Is that the average? People are on their phones 8 hours a day, more than what they're doing in work. Call somebody through your work, call somebody through your family, just check on them. Like Chris was saying, hey man, I hope you're doing, even if they don't pick up because nobody picks up the phone anymore, leave them a message and go, hey, I was just calling to see how you're doing. I hope you're doing well. And you'd be surprised what that could do for you and do for the other person. I used to be really good about it. Now I'm so busy and I spend so much time on the phone that I'm slipping.
I think that evolved for you because as we've done that for each other, now I get that. Hey, I need you to think about me this week. I need you to have you in my mind for I got these hurdles or these things coming up, and I need you to know that this could be a struggle for me. This could be a hard place. And I do. I think about you through those times and just send that, hey, brother, I hope you're doing well. And that works just to say, you conveyed to me, you let me be a part of the burdens that you bear. And, that helps us to get through those short times, those times of struggle or uncomfortableness or, whatever that looks like for that moment. But it boils down to you were willing to open yourself and communicate that. And, in the relationship of communication, just to reach out to you and say, hey, how are you doing? I'm thinking about you. And you said, I need your help. And that help only looks like this. Just think about me, bro. And that was easy. It wasn't anything that I couldn't do. I just had to do it.
Well, and I was going to say, a lot of people think that if they reach out,
right,
that is going to create more of a problem. And that is the furthest from the truth. So what we're discussing now, just those random acts of kindness, reaching out, that's so important. And the more we talk about it and the more that we do it, the more we're going to show everybody that, hey, it's okay. You have to check on these people that you care about. It's that important. You can't be afraid to check on somebody that you care about because you're afraid it's going to open up the floodgates. We have to check on them.
I learned a valuable life lesson from one of my daughters. I'm a father of 3 girls, and just a couple years ago, just about 2 years ago, I had known how to say it, but I never really spent any time talking about it. And, I said, Meredith, why did you do that to Addison? So my daughter's names are Addison, Meredith, and Violet, and they're 12 down to 4, which is so cool. And they have their own little personalities, but I said...
It's cool now. Wait till they turn 16.
Right. So I said, Meredith, why'd you do that? And she said, Daddy, that's how she was treating me. I thought that's how she wanted to be treated. And I was like, really? Wow. That's totally not what that means. But I didn't even think about what that meant until that one conversation that came up. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to scold her. I'm not going to beat her. I'm not going to, this is a valuable learning point in life. And so let's just say that out loud. You treat people like you want to be treated, not like they treat you. And that was the whole takeaway from it. I never just dwelled on that for a second. It was for that I actually had to say those words. Well, baby, we treat people like we want to be treated, not like they treat us. And that's the difference right there. People are always going to be rotten to you. It doesn't matter whether you're driving in traffic. You could go to give them millions of dollars and they would still want to spit in your face. I see it. But you still treat them like you want to be treated. And hopefully that rubs off on them and it changes them. But that's not an easy lesson. That's not even easy to comprehend, that even when people are rotten to us, we still have to treat them like we want to be treated.
We have to be the model.
The model, yeah. Yeah, and if you saw me with no clothes on, I'm definitely not a model. Right.
Be the model.
now Doug, he's always fit, so he is the model. But yeah, no, just it's amazing how our kids can teach us, and just a simple life lesson is right there if we're willing to open up our minds to it and learn from them. And she wasn't teaching me anything, but she was teaching me everything.
Of course.
You know.
Yeah.
They run your house.
No, listen, I had to get a canine in order to have another male in the house. That's how much estrogen is in my house.
Your kids and your wife are precious.
They are absolutely. I couldn't do it without them, but you know, you got to have a team.
Listen, kids are like puppies. They're only cute for a little while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just get that out there.
Listen, I have to give a shout out to our kids because they were asking for that. So if they're on there, which I haven't seen anybody, but if you're there, hey guys, we love you.
Hey Doug, so
No,
how can a non-first responder, non-LEO, non-firefighter, how can someone that just wants to support your mission and first responders and survive first, how can they do that? What does that look like?
Well, I'm looking at, is that Ron Bove's question?
Yes.
Because it's cut in half on this phone. So really, there's a multitude of things. You would be surprised, and tell me if I'm wrong, Chris, when you're out to lunch and somebody buys you a lunch, what that does for somebody.
I'm going to cut you off right there. Like, so after having kids, I'm emotional. So if you buy me lunch, I'm going to cry. If the cops are out with me, if like the people that I work with, I cry like a little girl all the time. And not that girls cry a lot. Okay, I misspoke, but I get emotional because the hearts of people just amaze me every time.
That's it. It's a thank you. It's it's not the smart ass comment, who's protecting our city if you're in here getting something to drink, or where's the donuts at. That doesn't work. That just ruins their day even more. But even a thank you, or just go up and introduce yourself and say, hey, how you doing? You're looking at a guy in a uniform. And I say, I do a lot of cop talking, but it's the same for firefighters. And I know, Eric, you're on this, you're listening. Correct me if I'm wrong. Even as a firefighter, man, all you're doing all day long is dealing with radical stuff. Nobody's calling you to come over and to help them set up their slip and slide. They're calling you for radical stuff every day. So at some point in the day, you're just looking at yourself in the mirror going, man, can I just get 5 minutes? Can I get a break? And in a simple thank you, or just an introduction, because obviously I have that go F yourself look on my face when I work, usually every day, but it's still meant a lot to me when people would come up and just want to talk about random stuff. You know what I mean? Not sit there and gripe about something, or complain. So, that's one thing. Volunteer, get involved. Look, my wife's ready to jump in. Go ahead, shake it, baby. Go ahead, do it up.
I was going to say, absolutely, thank your firefighters, your police officers. When you see paramedics out there, thank them for what they're doing. But aside from that, volunteer. If you are here in Brevard County, please volunteer with us, because we send baked goods to departments, and we need volunteers to help us out with that. Volunteer at our 5K event. Those men and women out there, they see you and they know the production that's put on and what it takes, and that it takes all the people, all the public out there that supports them to actually put that on, so they feel that. If you are not in Brevard County, but you're in another state or another area where they have an organization, volunteer for them. Ask how you can get involved, because I'm telling you, we need you so that we can continue our mission every single day. And
don't misconstrue what either of them said. You notice they didn't say, "Oh, write us a check for $5,000." No, your kind actions go so far, and a pick me up. You don't know the call that the officer, the firefighter, whoever that first responder is. You don't know what they just left, but to say I care about you and I appreciate what you do goes a long way.
I will tell you, back in May, we had First Responder Month, and each week celebrated a different first responder. 1 week was Police Week. We had International Firefighters Day. There was Corrections Week. And we pulled together an army of people that baked. We had so many cookies and cupcakes and stuff that were delivered to our house if they couldn't deliver for us, and we took them out. We had people that took what they baked and asked, which departments can I go out to? And it was just amazing. It was incredible. So get involved. It's actually a lot of fun, and to see the smiles on these men and women's face, it is just heartwarming.
That's something I always look forward to going to the police department. Is I always walk through the kitchen, and that's where family happens. That's where we come back and we get to be human for a second. And when we're eating together, then we're laughing, and then we're communicating better, and we actually work closer. And some of my best memories are from the kitchen. And when we were in the kitchen, that means we were working harder to cover down on each other, because in order to eat, that means the radio didn't stop. And so those calls still had to get handled. So we would actually cover down on each other just so we could have that opportunity to eat. And one group of people that we haven't singled out and talked about, and it's not that we forget them, but it's also the dispatchers. They fall under that first responder spectrum. They don't get that recognition. They don't get it, through the legislature or any laws that come out. They don't get that support, but it starts with them. A lot of times
they're the first ones to get the call.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're the very first line of communication with first responders.
I loved our dispatchers. I miss them. We always had super, super cool dispatchers. They were always good to me. I drove them absolutely nuts 90% of the time because they never knew where I was or what I was doing, but they were always very good to me. And you're right, Chris, they don't get the recognition that they deserve, because they're out of sight, out of mind. Nobody ever sees them. So that's why. It's not that nobody appreciates them, but
right.
I see Tony Martika, man. Tony, if you're listening, I love you, man. I do, man. I miss that boy. That boy saved my life, man. So anyway, just draw a blank. Just think about Tony, man. It's starting to make me tear up.
So there's lots of opportunity. You got to continue to follow us through this process of getting together and having the conversation. It's real talk. It's first responders. If you have a question and you want to chime in, send it to us, and we'll answer it. We have a lot of experience in the room, some great people, great friends, and really when the community sticks together, and I'm not just talking about the first responder community, but when the whole community comes together, great things happen.
I think that we saw that at our 5K in January.
Yes, yeah.
That was such an incredible event. We had so many people come out. We had the streets were lined with police cars, fire engines, and the lights were going because the race was in the evening, and the Dirty Or was there supporting us. And
that's why they were there.
Right. They didn't come to see us. Yeah.
They were there for that beer.
I mean, it just was such an incredible evening of community, and we had firefighters running in full gear and cops running in their full SWAT gear, and you could just see the happiness on everybody's faces. At the end of the race, everybody was hugging each other and just having a great time. So when community comes together, it's amazing. A beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't know, the medals that y'all passed out were kind of incredible too. I still see those pop up every now and then. They're like, someone wants to show me, look at how cool this is. And
it was a good time.
Police badge, man. That's pretty different. So, one of the things they're doing in the community is there's a place in Rockledge, Florida, for the local people called Paradise Cigars, and that place is full of first responders. And man, they go in there and they we just went there the other day. It's where we did some of our pictures, and I got to meet couple of the one of the owners of one of the main cigar companies, and there was cops in there and firefighters, and it's just a place where the guys go and talk and get away. And it's, you don't have to go there and you can go there and smoke. You can just sit there and hang out and carry on the conversations. I think it's a pretty good deal. January 4th, Dave.
That's
I think
good.
it's Dave's asking me.
I didn't think you could do two things at once.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I got much more time to practice now that I'm retired, man. I do 100 things at once. But so anyway, that's a pretty cool meeting place. Those are little things you can do to just get out of the norm. I've been there several times, and what's kind of neat is the conversation is not about work, and that's a problem. So a lot of times, cops when they hang out with cops, all they want to do is talk about cop stuff. Firefighters talk about firefighting stuff. It's the same across. I'm sure school teachers talk about school every time they get together. But, there's a point where you got to let it go. And that's one of the, that's a whole nother subject, especially with the young cops. And when they become a cop, they think that that's all that life has to offer. And they're ate up with it. They wear cop T-shirts, and they want everybody to know they're cops. And they carry their gun in their bathroom, and they, in their badge, and they're in Publix, grocery shopping with their stuff on. Like, you got to find a happy medium to let it go. You know what I mean? There's more to life. And I don't care what you say. It's a job. I mean, it's consuming. It's a job that consumes you, and you take it home. But it is still a job. And it's a cool job. And there's a fine line that we have to get to where you can do your job and have fun, because it is a fun job.
Oh, absolutely.
It is. We had a lot of fun.
From the ups
then
to the
again,
downs,
we got to blow stuff up and wreck things, and that was kind of cool for me. But like fishing, Tony, no, fishing, that's got nothing to do with it. Well, I get what you're saying. Yeah, go fishing. I teach that in my classes. I ask the guys in the audience, hey, what did you used to do before you became a cop? Write them down. Like me, if I wasn't surfing, I was fishing. If I wasn't fishing, I was doing triathlon or something. And then as the career got older, I got away from all that. I would still, do triathlon, but, I'd go out surfing, and I would be paranoid that I wasn't hearing my phone because I was on call for SWAT. So every time I'd get out there, I didn't enjoy it like I used to. You got to find that happy median to let it go and to maintain your life. And, that's a whole nother topic.
So what does that look like? What does that look like? I mean, probably the best question that you can ask yourself and ask somebody else is, who are you? Like, because what are you going to say? I'm Officer Chris Hattaway. Like, I don't introduce myself like that because yeah, an officer is my title at my job. That's not who I am. And that was a hard lesson too. I mean, some success in communicating with people was take off the rank and then look at yourself.
Well, we were good, Chris, with SWAT.
Yeah.
So when we were in SWAT, your rank didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
You were a first name. It didn't, and for many, many years, my boss, Gordon, he was our commander, and Tony would be in a sergeant. That's not how it was. When everybody was equal in that room. We were a brotherhood. It was kind of, are you laughing at me? Is somebody making fun of me again?
I'm not. I'm pulling.
She's pulling my cord.
I got to check on my wife. She's always messing with me. But there's a multitude of things out there that we can do. I'm looking. Brad says ice hockey, dude. If I fall down, Brad, do you know what would happen? I would shatter into 800 pieces. You are a big, tough dude. If I fall, like if I just trip on my slippers at home, man, something's not feeling right the next day.
Doug rides a tandem bike now. That.
Why are you coming out with all the secrets first in the first show, Karen?
So, everybody, let me make this public announcement. Karen will no longer be on this show after today. This was her last day. She's got stuff to do.
At least she didn't bring up the quilting and all that stuff. We'll get there.
I do ride a tandem bike, but it's a fast tandem bike, and it's pretty quick. But I do ride my triathlon bike every day, too, okay? So let's just make sure that's out there.
Darby, if you're still on, you can chime in on the tandem bike because you see us ride by every day.
And Branda said, and I fall. I do. I fall a lot, man. And I usually always fell when Branda was around. She would make me fall. So, yes, I do ride a tandem bike. And that's one of the things. You can laugh about it, but that's one of the things we got so that I could decompress. And we do it so that it's a kind of, what do they call that when you, like, team building? Like, Karen and I, we're not building a team, but You get what I'm getting at.
He's trying to build a team.
Connected. So
No, I ain't building no team. I'm trying to get rid of the team I got. I'm trying to trade them, sell them, cut their contracts. I want them gone. I don't want to own no team no more.
They grow up so
really
fast.
the reason we got it was so that he couldn't ride away on his own bike as we were riding together. So
My buddy Chris said his tri-bike's been in the shop for 25 years. Yeah, I know it. So, that's just one of the things we do. We go out, we ride around. We did it last night. We rode the bike to dinner. We communicate. It's something different. I mean, we have all our we have our racing bikes. We got beach cruisers. But that's something we can do together. And that's okay. Whatever it is, what you do to break the monotony up from the job. So.
and we are like legends in Cocoa Beach with our tandem bike.
We're not. They laughing at us, man. You feel like a legend. I feel like a jackass. Okay.
The
like,
Mongo's
I
on
gotta
the tandem
like
bike.
I try to like I got a reputation. They're like, isn't that the dude who used to do triathlon? And now I'm,
She always rides in the back too. I don't know if you'll know that. Like he rides in the front, and she pushes them along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's how it works. So I know we're running out of time. I want to just touch on a couple things. With everything being said today, the main meat and potatoes what I was trying to get at is we got to start somewhere. We got to start in our own house. We can't be pointing fingers at what this person's doing or what that person's doing. We got to start in our house. We got to start building blocks. We got to start putting together plans. Survive First, we do that. We're always available. If you're new to us, www.survivefirst.us. You can find our phone numbers. You can find our emails, all that stuff on the page. There's a multitude of organizations out there that we work with, from the Northwest all the way to the Southeast. We've got great supporters, great teammates. So we're always willing to help out in any way, shape, or form in anybody's department. What else before we close this out?
Well, I think this is important to say on every episode that we have. I only have the numbers for verified law enforcement suicides for the year, and that's through bluehelp.org. But as of today, or from when we left our house today, that number grows all the time. But for this year alone, we are at 120 law enforcement suicides. I don't have the numbers for fire, but that is growing year by year. I think I heard the other day that, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I heard that fire was over 100 for the year. So that's staggering. And there is so much help out there, and there are so many resources, but those numbers year after year continue to grow. Last year, I think they tallied out at 169 verified law enforcement suicides, and at 120 right now, and we're only in August, that number is going to surpass 169 from last year. So we have to do something. Everything that we are talking about here, please, listen, check on your brothers and sisters, be there to support, volunteer, let everybody know that you're there to help. If you know of somebody who is struggling, suggest that they call us. We can try to point them in the right direction, or call us yourself, and we can talk about it and help you through how to maybe approach your brother or sister that you think might be struggling.
So your homework for the next 2 weeks, pick a day, every other day, whatever that looks like. Reach into your contacts, talk to someone, just send them a text message. Sometimes you can't have that voice conversation, but send them the text message. Say, I care about you. That's if you need me to give you the words, if you need us to give you the words, hey brother, hey sister, I haven't talked to you in a while. I care about you. You matter to me. Just let me know how you're doing. And that's a start. That's the very first start. That's where we can lead this to, and together working together, communicating together, being together, we can start to drive those numbers down and make that change. I say, teaching the class, I've never met someone that completed suicide that would ever let me know. but you could be that difference in that person's life. All you have to do is reach out and say, I care. And that was easy. I care. It's not the thing that everybody's doing.
Now, don't be scared to ask somebody, too, in your department. Don't be scared to say, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay? And, of course, if they say why, just say, I'm concerned. I just haven't talked to you in a while. Those little things like that can help. That's, God bless you, Tony Markika. He must ask me every day for a year, and I would just give him total hell for it. But he loved me enough to not quit. So that's important that you guys do that. And I say Tony, but they're, my whole team, including Chris. Chris you were gone in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And all I wanted him to do was come home. He was gone 400 plus days. So, there was a little gap there. But it doesn't matter who you are. And real quick, one thing that was brought up today at lunch, a conversation is, if you're a cop and you're driving down the road, if you're a firefighter and you're driving down the road, vice versa, if you're a cop and you see a firefighter, beep your horn and wave to each other. That's what we used to do a long time ago, right, Doug Levine? We used to wave to each other. Nowadays, nobody does that anymore because everybody's too consumed in their own. And you'd be surprised what that would mean to somebody else. Those are little. Am I on a tangent, Chris? Or am I?
No, you're right. You're right.
Take care of each other, man. We're all on the same team. It's really important that we do that we wave. And also, to this day, I still slow down and make sure the cop on the side of the road or the firefighters on the side of the road are safe and in a good position. Yeah. Keep them in mind. They're out there doing a hard job. They're doing the best they can with what they have to work with. For me, before I wrap up, I want to thank all our sponsors. I've got a ton of them. Thank you, Chateau Recovery, for taking care of us. The Dirty Ore, they're just so good to us. Biosound Technology, I'm sure I'm missing a few. Karen, if I'm missing any, you can bring that up. We'll be back in a couple weeks when I get back from Colorado. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Anytime in between then, if you're interested in a topic or something, just give me a message, give me a call. Let me know what you want to talk about.
Conrad, real quick. I think you asked about what family should look for. We'll get into that next episode.
Thank you, Dirty Ore, the best little ore house.
Yes, thank you.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks for chiming in.